Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys about YouTube fitness trends. And I had someone ask me the other day, hey, what do you think about myo reps? Right? What do you think about myo reps? Because here's the thing. All these fitness YouTubers are now promoting them. They're promoting them. And, it reminds me a lot of the whole rack pull trend that came out over a year ago. People were doing a year ago above the knee rack pulls were this big trend, even though the experts were coming out saying, look, this isn't supported by evidence. It's stupid. It's moronic, right? You'll make gains, but it won't be the most effective gains. And here's what these things come down to. Everyone wants to sell you a gimmicky, something new, as if we don't have plenty of data from decades of observing athletes and coaches and studies. Like we don't have data that we have to have new things, that we don't have what we need to know to produce champions, right? We need new information if you want to get your squat to 600 pounds. Or you want to get your arms to 17 inches drug-free, or whatever it is, right? Guys, we don't need new gimmicks. But what we have are people trying to put gimmicks out to people who don't want to accept the same old boring stuff, which is good training, good programming, and working hard, right? That's how you get results. That's how you get big. That's how you get strong. Hell, that the way you lose fat is with a caloric deficit, right? This stuff isn't sexy. So they're always trying to give people new stuff. And what we need to look at the whole myo reps thing. Myo reps, if you really look at the data, it's both inferior to dynamic effort training, which is what I'm doing in this footage all in the background, dynamic effort training, as well as just conventional straight sets. Because it's trying to do what dynamic effort does, right? It's trying to do what dynamic effort does and give you this workload density and try to give you the best muscle fiber recruitment with every rep, in theory. Because it is about focusing on quality reps, but we already have all the information to do that. We already have training systems that are used by world champions that address this already. How do we do this? Well, if you want to get maximum muscle fiber recruitment and the most out of every set, what do? Take longer breaks. Isn't the data overwhelming on this? It's like you've got this whole myo rep thing, but then you step back and look at the research on rest times between sets. If you have to shorten rest times in order to get more workload density, you gain less muscle if it forces you to reduce weight on the bar. Now, their solution is we'll just take shorter breaks and keep the same weight on, and since we're using the same weight and we're getting the limit sets in, we're getting superior muscle growth. But is it superior muscle growth? Not really. Not really. Because you're not getting all the same training stimulus. You're not getting the same training stimulus. And here's what I would say. If you have less time to go to the gym, then just do less sets, right? Right, all these people say, well, I need to do this to squeeze more work in. That's the only possible excuse, right? Because I only have 45 minutes. Well, quit doing all the extra fluff. In other words, if you know that you need to move the biggest weight possible, the heaviest weight possible on an exercise for the most number of reps in a workout, which usually means longer rest times, then you can't do as many exercises. So if you have limited time, maybe you need to cut out the junk exercises and focus on the exercises that are going to give you the most bang for your buck, so you can put your efforts into those and focus on those and then figure out the exact amount of volume that you need to stimulate the growth that you need, right? That's what you need to do. And don't do junk volume if your time is really that limited. The myo reps attempt to address that instead of just using common sense. Because the truth is, we know that the longer breaks with the heavier weight produces the best muscle growth. The studies are pretty overwhelming on this. Even experts who believe the other have done studies and admitted, okay, they were wrong. The shorter breaks don't work. This is still just going back to the shorter break thing. Well, it's trying to do what dynamic effort work does, doesn't it? Which is give you the highest quality reps. Because in dynamic effort work, we use a weight that wouldn't be a limit weight or a limit set, and we explode as hard as possible. But that does work because the data shows that external cueing matters more than internal cueing. And because it has a dynamic component to it and we get a bunch of first reps, it carries over pretty well to 1 rep maxes. So it's a good balance of skill training for a power lifter combined with enough metabolic fatigue and workload to give good hypertrophy. Right? This has already been addressed, and this works really well. It's time proven. Not saying this is necessarily what everyone who's pursuing hypertrophy needs to do, but I'll make the case for the fact that it does produce significant hypertrophy. And it's like I had Chris Lovato tell me in person when I was chatting with him at an expo before, that he felt like when he ran like the West Side type system, that he got the best hypertrophy he's ever gotten. And I've seen that with a lot of lifters, right? They come over and mess with this style of training, they get great hypertrophy. So it's already addressed with stuff like dynamic effort training. Why do we need a new system to do this? Well, because people want something new to talk about. And God forbid that anyone who's running a fitness-related channel related to hypertrophy would ever advocate something used by strength athletes, right? God forbid. God forbid. So they don't want to admit that they already have it. So it's something trendy and new. Well, we already have what we need, right? Heavy sets with long enough breaks that you can get as many reps as possible. In other words, on a given range of motion and technique, usually you can get the most muscle growth by just doing the most reps you can do with the heaviest weight possible in a workout, and then programming around it accordingly. You don't need these myo reps. And if you're that strapped for time in the gym, which is the reason for it, you need to be more efficient in your programming then. You need to figure out what garbage you need to cut out of your workout, rather than try to find a solution like this, because it's not going to work as well. But everyone wants to promote it, right? They're wanting to promote it because it's new and it's flashy. And we saw that with rack pulls, didn't we? And it'll be something else new next year. We saw that with rack pulls. The above the knee rack pull, complete garbage movement. Every expert agrees. Only a few morons do it. And then a few guys got roped into it, like Scott Herman Fitness and other people, because again, it was trendy and new, even though he had just put out a bunch of material and put out great information about effective workouts and focusing on the basics and progressive overload. And then this trash comes out and he jumps on board, buys into it. And then what do you have? You have a bunch of kids who run around saying, oh, my traps blew up doing this, when biomechanically it doesn't work the traps that well. And none of them actually have big traps, right? None of them actually had big traps after doing it, even after their traps supposedly blew up, because it created a delusion in their mind that because they think it works the traps, and everyone else is saying it made their traps grow, guys like Strap On Destiny and Scott Herman, that when they do it, they just thought that their traps blew up. And they didn't even have traps. Like if you look at every one of them, that none of them have big traps. Their traps didn't blow up. You know what? Their traps probably grew because they trained them. You know, the overhead press will grow your upper trap. Some side laterals will grow your upper trap. Barbell rows will grow your traps. You don't need a silly ass movement like this. But everyone fell into the gimmick, didn't they? They fell into the gimmick because it was new. It was like a cheat code. And that's what everyone's looking for in their training, isn't it? They want a cheat code. Instead of saying, you know what the cheat code is? The cheat code is good training programming. Picking good exercises towards my specific goals that will work well into my programming. Training hard. Getting enough protein. Getting enough calories. Getting quality nutrition. Getting a good night's sleep. Getting rest. Dealing with other extraneous factors in my life that might reduce my recovery. All right? That's your cheat code. That's your cheat code. Now, I could argue there are other things you could do. I have my own stuff I put out regarding mindset and mentality, things that can help with that, things that can help with your overall hormones and everything else. So there's stuff I point out with the ORT mode thing, but that's kind of a separate topic, isn't it? And that's not really a cheat code. That's just giving you a little bit of an edge because you're programming yourself. It's about mindset. But there's no cheat code. Train hard. Train smart. And everyone always wants this little fix. Oh, if I just do these above the knee rack pulls, I'll get these amazing results. And it's a shitty exercise. It's stupid. Like no intelligent person actually believes that it works who understands training or biomechanics. But it was gimmicky. And the myo reps thing I think will be gimmicky too. And I'm not saying there isn't some logic behind it. But there's no reason to think it's going to work just as well or in any way be superior to what we already know about training, more conventional methods of programming and reps and sets. There's no reason to believe that. Don't buy into the hype. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.